Hi everyone, this is Mary Ann with Akashic Inspirations. Well, I've decided to be more active in YouTube again and to do videos, which I can also share, of course, on Facebook and my Instagram. But I felt that I wanted to reach a different type of audience that I had previously been doing. As your kids grow into different phases, you want to be able to see how you can best help everyone. And so this is a subject that many people have been bringing up to me or have been making comments, and it's basically on feeling very stressed when it comes to relations to being having the time to do things, right? To feeling that they're overwhelmed with homework. If they're the kids, they're completely overwhelmed because they want to do outdoor activities, or they want to play in sports, or they want to do clubs and things at school, extracurricular things, play music, dance, whatever it is, something that feeds their creative aspects, right? Their soul. And yet they feel this pressure to perform in school, to ensure that all the homework's done, and by the time they finish homework, they're too tired and they want to rest and rest their mind, which makes total sense. And then we as parents or older individuals, we have the pressures of work, children, older parents. So we're also feeling that time crunch, so that when we do kind of come together, if our time schedules are not linking up, then that creates more stress within the family structure, or just on top of you as another burden. So I really wanted this. This was something I came up with for myself several years ago because I felt that. I felt that pressure. I felt that I couldn't continue to keep going at the pace and at the stress levels that I was going at. So I came up with something called Einstein's Time, right? And Einstein said that, of course, time is relative, right? It's all within your perception, that time is an illusion, right? It's not real. I said, okay, so if that's true, then how can I work with that? How can I just to see things just a little bit different to make my life easier? So these things that we say to us, this is the old paradigm, right? So I looked at what was my traditional thinking on this, right? That time is finite, that I don't have enough time to do things, and if you really look at that statement, I don't have time right now. We also use that as an excuse because we don't want to do something. So we use, I don't have time to do it now. So if the kids want you to go and play, or they want you to do something, or somebody wants you to go do something that you really don't want to go do, then you use, oh, I don't have the time right now. And that's like, like a panacea, right? It's just like an excuse for anything you don't want to do. Then you just say, I don't have the time. There is a dualism of time, right? That time is against us; it's outside of us, right? That our lives are geared by this outside, uncontrollable force, and that's really what puts a lot of stress, I think, and depression on people, especially young people, like teenagers and young adults. We think of time, there could be like a time trap, right? Either there's too little time or too much time. So you're either doing this frantic activity of trying to get everything done, or there's boredom, right? I'm bored, there's nothing to do. So if you're not in frantic activity, then that must be boredom. So when we think of time as our master and we are the slave to time, we feel that it's like basically persecuting us, like, right? It's taking away our freedom, it's taking away our ability to do things we love to do. It gives us the excuse that we're the victim, right? We are the victim of our circumstances. And we treat time as a scarce commodity. So when you treat something in your life as scarce, as not enough of, then you tend to expand that view into other areas of life, whether it be money, love and relationships, whether it be the lack of time, lack of connection, relationships, that one-on-one intimacy. And then we're gonna talk a little bit about something called we call the time cop versus the time slackers. Time cops are like, you're 5 minutes late. Where are you? And then we're supposed to do this on this time and this and that. And the slackers like could give it couldn't give a hoot, right? They're always going to be late. They're going to do whatever they want, and then the time cops feel totally burdened by that, right? They're just like, oh my God, they just want to pull the hair out. So let's go back and talk about how we can start considering things a little bit differently, right? We also, a lot of these things bring such a stress in our bodies that you can actually give yourself high blood pressure. You can, with stress kills the body, right? So you can actually give yourself cancer if you take it to extremes. You can, really debilitate yourself. So what we want to do is shine a light on how to look at something a little bit differently and how to maybe from the beginning of the day set a tone where we don't feel like we're doing battle all day long with time, just run behind time all the time, right? So within the Einstein time paradigm, which let's call it the new paradigm, if you'll listen to me for a second, we are the source of time. Now, our perception is what creates everything in our life. That's why we are responsible for our lives. And that is why also we have the ability to change. And only we can change the story of our own life, right? So when we take ownership, what does that mean? It means that we acknowledge that time is not something that is happening to us and that it's out of our control. Rather, that it's within us and it's within our ability to create and use that time in a creative manner, right? And to the way we wanted to be able to use it. It allows us to feel the less stress and to have more creative time. So we can, have you ever been through a phase in your life where everything just seems to flow, right? You get everything done. There's no struggle. There's no stress. You have abundant energy to do what it is that you want to do. You don't feel like exhausted by 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And you start discovering these unique gifts that you really didn't have time to even bring out of yourself before. Gifts, talents, abilities, learning new avenues of thought, and you start feeling really, really good about yourself, right? So it's kind of the whole mind, body, spirit change when we start to perceive time differently. In order to live in this expanded version of time, we need to make a few changes, right? So, of course, nothing comes without not practicing. But I think if you start practicing these techniques and do it consistently, you'll start to see the difference in your life. So I always like to approach everything like an experiment. Like, oh, well, okay, I'm going to experiment. I'm going to see if it works. Like, I'm not married to the outcome. If it works, hallelujah, great, I'll keep going forward. If it's not, then I'm going to look at it and say, okay, why didn't it work? Was it something I did? Did I do it consistently? So if you think about things objectively, as if they were an experiment, then that helps you to be able to change, not be married to a particular outcome. Because when you're doing an experiment, you don't necessarily, you may think have an idea how you want it to turn out, but we know that when you do an experiment, it's how it actually does turn out. So that's why we're there being the observer. So that's what you want to be. You want to be in the observer point of view. Like, okay, we're going to try this. I have nothing to lose, right? So the fundamental change comes through our ability to learn to occupy space in a new way. And what do I mean by that? We're actually going to be able to gain the ability to generate, quote unquote, more time. Let's think about when you're in a relationship and it's a loving relationship and you're with that person and it just feels that you have that beautiful connection, right? And hours go by, and you feel like just minutes have gone by, right? Because you're in such joy, you're doing something you so much love. You're playing a game, or you're out playing baseball, or you're dancing, or you're listening to music, or whatever it is that you love to do. And it just seems like time just flies by. Why is that, right? Because your perception is based on the present moment, right? and where time has no meaning. It's just the joy of what it is that you're doing. You're not worried about time. I don't even wear watches really anymore because I naturally flow into a rhythm. You could do that when you when you teach yourself to wake up on time. Like you could just literally set yourself, instead of having an alarm clock, you just say, okay, I need to get up at 6:30 in the morning because I got to do certain things, and I want to have the time to be able to, have my coffee or whatever. So over time, I just normally wake up. That's the hour I normally wake up. Um, so the opposite end of the spectrum to having all of this expansive time and having it fly by in minutes, when let's say you're near a hot stove and your hand gets on that stove, a minute can be like forever. I mean, you're in pain, right? You're significantly hurt, and a minute can drag out to feel like it's hours, and it's really only been a couple of minutes, but to you, it just feels that that sensation has been going and going and going forever, right? When when you withdraw your consciousness from something, it actually contracts your awareness from space and time and makes it stand still. So when you're doing something you love, or you're with someone you love, and you're having a wonderful experience, that time just seems to come together to verge. The more on the other end of the spectrum, the more pain that you're in, the slower it seems that time gets, right? Your awareness, when you're in that beautiful relationship, your awareness flows out. It expands. It goes out to encompass different possibilities, right? That's why when you're in love, everything seems fabulous and beautiful and rosy, and oh, I never saw this before. You start seeing things from a different point of view. And you kind of just relax into that space of contentedness, happiness, satisfaction, completeness. Like entire hours can just poof disappear. Like a whole day can go by, and you're like, oh my god! But we just seemed like we just got up this morning and went out to the Everglades and we're on our boat, and it's already nighttime. Like it just like flew by. You seem to you literally forget about time. And you can literally be, when we expand that consciousness, you can literally be everywhere at one time. In the old paradigm, when money and time were built on a system of scarcity, that's not enough time, not enough money, not enough anything, right? There's not enough of whatever it is that you want. So to get into this new Einstein's Einstein's time of view of time, we have to make one big shift. And it takes like owning full ownership of that we are actually creating this. That we are, if you could just set aside your doubt for a moment or your excuses, just put them aside. Don't even look at them. And, just leave that there for a moment. We tend to fall into those two time personas, right? Time cop or slacker. And I don't, neither extreme is necessarily a good thing, right? When we switch to Einstein's time, we leave the time cop behind. Like, we're not going to worry about the exact moment when somebody told us to meet us there and they're 2 minutes late, where somebody hasn't shown up yet for an appointment and we're starting to freak out. Or we're late for an appointment, and that just stresses us beyond belief. And then there's an accident in the road, and then there's something else, and there's all these obstacles start cropping up once you're already late, and you're like, you're losing it, right? You're absolutely losing it. So we want to understand that we are the producers of time, right? And that we can make as much time as we need. And we can heal this dualistic thought system of of going between us versus them, the time cops versus the time slackers, who are the people who are always late, or don't show up at all sometimes, like that. Like, I was a time cop. Like, I totally would freak out if people were 5 minutes late, because I felt that I was in such a time crunch and that I had to be in certain places at a certain time, though, that if somebody else were late, that would just screw up my whole schedule. And then therefore I could not get done what I wanted to do. So basically my whole schedule for my day was left in the hands of somebody else. So that stress of thinking, oh my God, they're not going to show up on time, would already stress me before I even got to where it was I'm supposed to be going. So when we understand the truth of it, that we can heal these thoughts, these dualistic thoughts, that there's no longer us versus them. So how do we do that? How do we quit thinking about time being out there, or somebody else having the control over our time? So there's a couple questions I want you to ask. One is, where in my life am I not taking full ownership? In other words, where am I playing a victim? Where am I just saying, oh, it's to the whims of fate? Is it money? Is it I can't get a good job because there's other people out there that don't want me to succeed, or I'm always just barely getting by, or I never have time to do anything. I never have time to be with my kids. I never have time to do the things that I love. I have to give everything to everybody else, and there's nothing left for me. Where are you not taking ownership, right? Because everything that happens to us is our responsibility, right? Because we do have a choice. We're just making the choice to put others before us. And the second question is, what are you trying to disown? What are you trying to say? Oh, that's not me. That's not me. Oh, control freak? No, 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 no. It's just that, others, we start putting in, on others. So the principle behind these questions is that stress and conflict are caused by resisting the acceptance and ownership of time. Interesting. If there is a part of our life that we are not willing to accept, we will experience stress and friction. Stress disappears, listen to this carefully, the moment that we accept our part of ourselves and claim ownership. And that can be hard sometimes, but it's about getting to your truth. Nobody else has to be doing this with you. You do it for yourself. You acknowledge it for yourself. Where is it that you're not, taking ownership for yourself? So the part of us that has been disowned, that part that we say that's not us, once we embrace that part within us, we create a wholeness within ourselves. So that this is where miracles come into play. And I want to read a quote from A Course in Miracles that says, "A miracle is a correction. It does not create nor really change at all. It merely looks on devastation and reminds the mind that what it sees is false. So what you're seeing is not really real. It's an illusion. That's why time is an illusion." So the key to miracles is a willingness to suspend the meaning that you have given something and look upon it in another way. So if you could just change your perception for a moment and start to see it in a new way, then these doors of opportunity and time and abundance are going to open for you. Less stress. So, what were some of the techniques that I did? One of my mantras was, I said, well, how can I decide? How can I make things happen? I said, well, you can't really make things happen. So, in a sense. So why don't we do it this way? Why don't we leave it up to the universe, right? So I said, whatever time that it is that I get there, that will be the perfect time. So let's say I had to pick up my daughter from school at, say, 2 o'clock. And I saw that maybe I was running a few minutes behind. But in my mind, I started saying, okay, but whatever I get there, that's actually going to be the perfect time, because she's going to tell me, she started telling me things like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm late. I just had to go by the teachers. I said, no, sorry, I just got here. So whether you get there 10 minutes early or right on time or 10 minutes late, whatever time it is that you get there will be and always has been the right time for you to be there, regardless of whatever. So if you start thinking of things that way, that one little change in your perception, that no matter what time I get to where I'm going, that's going to be the perfect moment for me to be there. All right. So statements like these, I don't have the time right now. I've run out of time. Where did the time go? I wish I had time to stop and chat. I've got to run. Right? So statements like these portray the speaker as a victim of time. It treats them like a scarce commodity, sending the message that time is out there and there isn't enough in here. Once you stop complaining, you free up that energy to focus on time as within. So, next step. First step is, I told you, whatever time you get there is the right time. The next step is you're going to stop complaining. No more complaining thoughts. No more like, oh, I don't have the time. I wish I were. Oh, I'm running late. Oh, I'm so freaked out. Those type of negative thoughts, you're going to stop. You're going to stop. Put the brakes on. By saying that you don't have enough time to do something right now is a falsehood. What you're really saying is, I don't want to do that right now. And you put the blame on time in order to avoid the truth. Which may be that, like I said, like a child wants to play with you, right? And I just realized I didn't have my lights on. You know what? It's the perfect time. It doesn't matter. Right? It doesn't matter. When we are able to release these thoughts and complaints about time, we actually feel less fatigued at the end of the day. We get more things done without feeling rushed. And we have that gentle flow and ease of the day. The sense of going from frantic activity. What I want you to see is how do you think you feel when you're stressed? What do you feel like? You feel your stomach's upset. You may start getting a headache. You're breathing shallow. You're angry, right? You feel frustrated, and so you just want to attack, right? You just want to, right? Jump on somebody and just jump down their throat, right? So everything feels like it's contracting. So on the other end, when we have the flight or flight, we have the boredom, and it feels like everything's just it's just this time is going so slow and it's so boring. There's nothing to do. Isn't that funny? All we do is complain that we don't have the time, and yet when we're in a sense that we're not in frantic activity, we get bored. Why aren't we doing the things we love? Why don't we use that time, that boredom time? Why aren't we using that for something that we love to do? Because we don't feel we have the ability and the control. So, it seems that sometimes you prefer to be in this hurried state because you feel like you're busy and you're doing things and you're creating, and you're really not. It's not a creative focus. It's just make work, what I call make work. Just garbage, distractions, things to fill your time that have no meaning. You want to feel like an excitement that is expansive, and to create and feeling alive. So we want to feel that sense of accomplishment at the end of the day versus, oh, I'm exhausted. So the key is to monitor your thoughts, be in awareness, eliminate the negative thoughts as they come, just X amount. And you'll find that you're going to grow less frantic in activity, less busy, However, you're simultaneously going to be getting more done. So you're going to do more with less effort. So you're going to live what we call an effortless life, where things just flow. If life in the universe just flows to fill your time, to fill that space with things you love, versus when you're stressed, you fill it with inane, like little tasks that have no priority, no real value, no real importance. So I'm to give you a little recap. In order to feel more expansive with your time and to understand that you are the creator of your universe, and in this sense, we're going to create that space for us to have the time to do the things we love. We're going to stay away from negative thinking and negative thoughts and negative sayings about time. And you're going to be in the present moment more. You're going to be in awareness, right? You're going to fill your cup with joy through just being in the present moment. And you're going to say, whatever time I get there, that's going to be the right time. And when you find yourself falling into boredom, you're going to stop yourself and think, well, what can I do now that gives me joy? So here's a mantra for you to help you get through some of these things as well. I acknowledge that I am the source of time, and I am where time comes from. Once more, I acknowledge that I am the source of time, and I am where time comes from. So, my dearest friends, I hope that this gives you some guidance and gives you help. I also have this in an ebook. So if you'd also like to get a copy of the ebook, please message me, send me and I'll give you the links below, or just put a comment here and I'll check back and forth to see who would like to also receive the ebook. And I send you many blessings, and I hope that this serves to make your life and this year of 2020 so much more joyous. Namaste.